Last time on Zero to Hero, our boy Syl was working on getting started with Envoy 2. Did he get his crystalline heart? Does he have his healing set? Find out that and much more on this episode of Zero to Hero. Yo, so last time I broke down my roadmap and I was talking about potentially doing map comp and world vs. world stuff before doing the Envoy 2 collection. However, I was pretty motivated after doing all of the weekly Dragon Stand achievements for this week's weekly in the Wizard's Vault, and I had a lot more Heart of Thorn currency than I realized. So I traded up for a bunch of machetes, I did 2 Dragon Stand metas, and I had my crystalline ore, so I just needed airship parts, the leyline sparks, and the auric dust for the fulgurite, and then I can turn those ore into ingots and then get started on Envoy 2. I did a couple other Heart of Thorns metas to get those materials, and then I did need to max out tailoring or any profession so that way I can craft fulgurite. And just like I did with cooking for levels some 13 weeks ago, I went to Guildwars2crafts.net and got my guild's critical crafting bonus and worked through the tailoring pipeline all the way from 0 to 500. And once I completed that, I crafted all of the ingots and then made my crystalline heart so I can get started on Envoy 2. After I did that, I went out into the open world and got the requirements like getting hit by a wyvern, doing dragon stand so that way I can do the leyline thing. I went to the flax farming spot in Tangled Depths, and then I noticed that there was a Wing 4 group up in LFG. They were looking for a hand kiter, so I held off and just spammed the refresh button on the LFG listing until they updated it for DPS. Once I did, I got into the group and they wanted to initially skip greens, but I did say that I needed to do the heart, and the commander and some other people were actually really cool about it, and they helped me out making sure that I did get the Cairn heart achievement. And whenever you do talk about like, oh, I need this achievement or that achievement in raids, it gives off what the community calls noob stink, where people will potentially kick you because they think that you're inexperienced or something. Obviously, based on my gameplay, I knew what I was doing and they just kind of let it ride. I ended up getting the Karn green on the first pull. Moving on to Mo, I did take the protection buff so that way I can use it and then clear the fight, which is what I did. And then for Samurag, you just need to get blown up by Rigum, which I specifically baited that event to happen. And then finally, you just need a Deimos clear. Now, Deimos is always a spicy boss because of the oils, right? Like, pugs love to step in oil, and that more or less just wipes the group. I was pretty hell-bent on finishing it up after we did the Wing 4 completion because you do need to bury the heart at the end of Wing 4. So I did the 3 fractals, aquatic, volcanic, and snowblind. And it's fortunate that this week the aquatic treasure hunt event thing is going on, so people were actually farming the aquatic fractal. So I jumped in there and I got that done. For volcanic and snowblind, it was a little bit more spicy because there were not dailies, but some people did jump into my LFG anyway. And after I did those, I returned to the tree at the end of the wing and finished Envoy 2. So now we are in limbo as far as legendary armor because all I need to do now is farm the materials for the different items. I have not been keeping up with the provisioner tokens, and I also haven't been keeping up with the Heart of Thorns currency, so I'll definitely be farming those more often now that Envoy 2 is done. I'll be doing more open world stuff. I feel like Heart of Thorns metas get run frequently, and I'll be hitting those up after I'm done blasting out these tier 1 or first generation legendary weapons. Once I have a nice fat stack of cash, I'll be able to easily breeze through the armors. And for the sake of all that is holy, I'll just be crafting all 6 of the pieces simultaneously. Just know moving forward, I won't be highlighting that I'm doing these metas each week, even though I will be focusing on the metas, focusing on getting the LI and so on, and I'll more try to highlight some of the other non-raid, non-farm things that I'm doing each week. In the meantime, we still have healing gear to get, and getting that equipment has been kind of slow this week. I made a little bit of progress, but I've been focusing on map completion. We're making steady progress and we are getting dangerously close to being complete. We will take a detour to World vs. World, which I have already started, and you guys will get a week or two of me ranting about World vs. World. It'll be fun because I haven't experienced any of the World world restructuring stuff yet. Normally I dread world versus world because I don't really involve myself in the world versus world communities, but I'll be trying to get as much as I can out of that content until I have the gifts of battle that I need. I'm going to shoot for getting 3 gifts of battle during the world versus world stint, so that way I won't need to return when I do make the Oreen legendary weapon after working on the Seasons of the Dragons achievement. But I am very happy with the progress that we made this week on this account. I thought Envoy 2 was going to take way longer, and honestly the fact that I'm already at my initial set of legendary armor as far as achievements go, and that I just need the LI and other gifts is pretty crazy considering I only have 150 hours played. I still need to do the weekly clears, and that's only going to be a few hours each week. And once I get my heal set, it should be straightforward to keep those clears happening regularly. And so far we only have utilized the LFG for everything, which is pretty nuts. Like, I know the LFG gets a lot of flack and it could use a lot of work, but it still does work and you can still use it if you need to. Hopefully we can get these things going and get pretty close to finishing things up by the time Janthier Wilds comes out. I'd love to end this little season 1 of Zero to Hero with legendary armor, but we will see how far we get. We might just be missing a few different things, but we'll see. Like always, I will ask you some questions this week, go over what I think about the questions last week, and then we will get into some comments. So the first question this week is, what do you think of the world versus world restructuring? Is it better or worse than the old system? I've been seeing a lot of people frustrated about the state of world versus world right now, and it's really telling that ArenaNet actually did release a blog post about it. But I know a few of you guys are big world versus worlders, so I'm curious how you feel about the changes. The second question is, beyond the obvious hints about Titans and stuff, do you have any theories about what we are going to find in Janthier? I know that this is going to be kind of Olivia, Titans, Mersat story more than likely, but the devs mentioned that there are some threads from Soto that will carry over. Do you have any theories about it or stuff that you'd like to see as far as story? And as far as last week, I asked about homestead and story characters. So as far as homesteads, I already shared most of my thoughts, but I'm hoping that they don't just set and forget it. I hope that it incorporates some new elements as the game progresses, and its newer expansions, like newer than Janthier Wilds, has more stuff to add to it. There's a lot of areas that have been implemented and moved on from, like Sun's Refuge, and I don't want this to turn into that. Even though I won't be doing much with it, I think that it'll be good for the community, and I think moving forward, people will come up with good stuff to do with it. Most important thing is that the tech is being ported to guild halls, so hopefully there will be a lot more interest in guild hall decoration and doing stuff as a community in your guild. So that is kind of what I take out of it, is like, okay, it's good new updated systems for the game. As far as the story stuff goes, at first, for the longest time, I rocked a single character to do everything, but over the years, I've decided I have more fun changing it up each time. So for End of Dragons, my initial playthrough was my warrior, and then for Soto, I did Revenant. For Janthier Wilds, I think I'm going to go either Thief or Necro. I'm leaning towards Thief though, because I do have an interest in how that Thief spear plays out, and I'm just getting tired of Mesmer, to be honest. On the Zero to Hero, I've been playing so much Mesmer that I need something different. I feel that any game's content isn't necessarily tied to just the story or the boss or whatever encounter. I'm a big advocate for multi-classing and getting familiar with what other characters and classes do. In this game, there is a lot of homogenization where every class can kind of do everything, but some can do things better than others. So I try to switch things up and play new things and try new builds, and it's really fun for me and it helps me enjoy the content a little better. So I'm looking forward to getting into Thief for the Janthier Wilds playthrough. Now getting into some comments, the resident fishing expert Coffee Dart has said that he is most hyped for the insta gathering in homesteads, which I think is the case for a lot of players. That little feature has sparked a lot of interest. I'm not sure how many people are super into decorating, but I'm sure that they do exist, and they might not just be the vocal community. And as a side note, he is an up and coming creator himself, so if you want more Guild Wars 2 content, consider giving him a sub and checking out his channel. Osiris said that he wants the menagerie, which I am in complete shock that it was not included. There are aspects of it with the whole mount skins thing, but for the most part, I feel that it would be an easy way to fill out throughout the homestead without needing to feel like you're missing out if you aren't gem storing it up. You know, like if you are not a big gem store person buying mount skins and stuff, your homestead's going to be kind of empty. Like for me, I only have 2 sets of mount skins. I have the branded ones and I have the holiday ones, and then some random one-offs from different achievements and stuff. But they definitely need to add the in-game pets to the homestead. Raindrop talked about her elementalist as her primary story character, and I think everyone, even me, have a specific character that they are somewhat attached to. For me, it is my Sylvari Guardian, and that's who I do most of my infusion stacking on. That's the character I used when I bought HTCM, and it is a primary class that I did a lot of early dungeon running and stuff like that on. A lot of my older characters ended up turning into like mules or bank alts, but my Guardian is like my primary everything class, and I usually take her through the story as a second playthrough. So after I explore the new area on a random one that I kind of pick, I usually take my Guardian through next. It's kind of backwards, but that's just how I like to do it. Alamau Boss is really hype about homesteads, which is nice to see that people are actually interested. Like I mentioned in the last episode, it definitely felt like it was at least as good as fishing was, which I'm not really a fan of fishing, but I think that it's good to have in the game overall. GT Legendary was disappointed with the spears, and this is the exact reason why I don't play with them during the beta. Everyone gets super hype and then gets super disappointed, and I want to try to be optimistic, and hopefully things get found and the lame stuff gets addressed before it makes the final release. Dr. DC 007 says that Spears beta made him not want to buy the expansion, which is a hot take, but I completely understand. I still have some optimistic nihilism going into the expansion. I am hopeful, and I hope that I am completely wrong and can come say that it's the best one yet, but I have a feeling it will be only slightly better than Soto was, especially if the only issues being addressed are the ones that Anet mentioned in their retrospective. And with that, I want to thank everyone who wrote a comment. I'll leave you with a clip of me and a buddy talking on Discord. And thank you, everyone. Special thanks to all of my subscribers. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you on episode 16. Peace.
Try to get you canceled somehow.
Wait, you're gonna get me canceled because fishing is bad?
Yes.
Alright, well.
Okay. And I'm only gonna say this once. Fishing is like Draconis Mons for me. It is purely Stockholm Syndrome. Alright. I hate it.
Why are you guys
Now that
hiding in there?
Sorry, I blacked out for a second there. I love fishing. I love Draconis Mons. Some of my favorite things. I love spending 10 minutes every day for 16 days.
All right, well, I'll go on record and say I don't like fishing. Fishing sucks.
Oh, fishing's
there you
horrible.
go.